cloud. Awesome. I'm usually not that tech unsavvy. Yeah, but I feel like today there's a part of me that is just technology allergic. But the fact that we all made it and it's like, the end of the day and we're all here, I'm really grateful to be here. So I see some really familiar faces, some new faces, and you're all so welcome. And I know we're in so-called separate spaces, but also I think, actually we are interconnected. We're interconnected in so many ways that although I know that Sam is in California, I don't feel like there's a great distance. Yeah, because I know that we are together. And also, knowing that all of us have shown up here today with our own kind of experiences and our own histories. Some of the things that I share might or might not resonate, but then also I think our common humanity will be um, beautiful in helping us to meet and to experience together. This is, I think, the reason why I said I'm technology allergic today is because actually I am somebody who's never really had to use PowerPoint my whole life. I was just that lucky. But on the other hand, the last time I did this, I realized that there were some images that I wanted to show to illustrate kind of why the brain works the way it does, how it impacts our nervous system, how, a lot of our subconscious kind of decisions and actions might actually be driven by our impulses that stem from all of this neurosciencey stuff. So today, I think for a short bit, I will be beginning in the cognitive with you. This is a somatic workshop, and actually, I lean very much into feeling versus analyzing. And some of us, might be more thinking versus feeling. So the first bit of this workshop is going to be using our brains a little bit, maybe. I'll still be inviting you to sense into your body and to be aware. And then the rest of the workshop is going to be applying and noticing kind of what we talked about in the beginning. And also, hopefully, it'll end up being a really lovely way for us to just kind of meet our bodies and meet ourselves right where we are. I know that yoga has this image, and everybody thinks yoga needs to be, I don't know, about a certain kind of image, but that is not how we do things around here. So here, this is yoga. Yoga means union, yoga means connection, and yoga is a way for us to be present, a way for us to not have to judge ourselves or each other. It's a place for us to be free, actually, and free not in a way that is like, I am more free than you are, there's no superiority. It's just simply we are all innately free, and there are ways to discover our path back to that. So that was my confession about my fear of PowerPoint. And I think it's going to be great because it totally melts into our topic, which is why sometimes we have aversion and why sometimes we end up doing things a certain way. So let me just start sharing this. And when we are here, I'll probably need to minimize the screen so I won't see you. But if you have anything you want to share, you can type it into the chat. And then I will still hear you, so feel free to speak up too. Okay, so welcome, 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 welcome. Let's take a big breath together. So just taking a breath in, and then let's exhale together. I sigh pretty loud, and I hope that you feel that kind of freedom also to do that. So really let yourself really draw in this beautiful breath. And if you have kids around you too, you can really sigh loud with them. We're going to take one more breath like that. Just already noticing that when we allow ourselves to breathe, we begin to touch into the experience of being embodied. So when we're in our thinking minds a lot of the time, we are not really breathing because we become so focused up here. So today, we're going to jump into understanding a little bit about how experiences in our life might impact the way we see and feel, and even sometimes we have something called neuroception, which is a nonverbal, so it's not languaged sense of knowing. So maybe we'll be walking out at a market somewhere, and then all of a sudden your body might get a certain feeling, and you might not hear that there's a car coming, but you know that there's a car even if you can't hear it. And then you automatically have some sort of reflex. So we'll be talking a little bit about how all of that factors into how we then show up emotionally and in our relationships and how we show up in our lives. And also whether or not that's how we want to show up. And if there are alternatives to be able to have more choice. So we'll be talking about embodiment, we'll be talking about choice, we'll be talking about the triune brain, our window of tolerance and opportunity. We'll be talking about the hijacking of the nervous system and how to counter hijack it, which is with an embodied freedom practice. So now I'm going to sound the bell, and as I sound the bell 3 times, I hope it will allow us to feel more grounded. So we're going to let ourselves really find a comfortable seat and let our hips, our sit bones, our legs feel like they can relax towards the earth more. And we're going to just let ourselves lean back, let the shoulders drop a little bit. And if it's comfortable, to invite you to even let your eyes be closed. So just 3 mindful sounds of the bell and allowing ourselves to be reminded to come back to the moment. And still just simply seated comfortably, maybe still with your eyes closed. I'm just going to read our land acknowledgement, extending our gratitude to meet here and to learn together on the unceded homelands of the Hanakanam, the Squamish, the Tsleil-Waututh, and the Musqueam nations in Canada, and also where you are elsewhere in the world. Also, gratitude for that earth, for our ancestors, for the plants, for the animals, and for the space all around us. So, just checking in for a moment now, if you could let yourself now kind of sit and feel into your body for a moment, just after hearing the bell and taking a few breaths. If you were to check in and to give a number to kind of how you're feeling right now in terms of from 1 to 10, 1 being completely relaxed and 10 being somewhat kind of feeling tension, to just give yourself that number. And then if you want to just remember that or type it into the chat box or tell us, it'll be interesting to hear your number right now and then check with that later. Great. And then I'm just going to jump right in. So today we are discovering a little bit about what embodied knowing is. So we hear words lately that are kind of trendy, like embodiment and somatic. And I even have some friends who ask me, what is embodiment? What does that even mean? So, embodiment is when you are feeling with your body, when you feel like you are inhabiting your body. So, a lot of the times when we are thinking, obsessing, even, or analyzing something, and I think we're all familiar with this, like when you're looking at a computer and researching something, or when you're problem solving, we can tend to be very contained within kind of the cognitive brain. And then when we are able to feel that we can see, we can hear, and we can sense with the body, that's when the body itself also has the ability to use its senses to give us information that is intuitive, and it's a little bit like muscle memory. So even this quote that Thich Nhat Hanh has shared that I really love, he says, if you use only your intellect to study, it would be like putting plastic over the earth. But if you allow this Dharma rain to penetrate your consciousness, then these verses will offer you the entire teaching. So even inviting you now just to check in to today, whether you have been more in your head or in your heart. And also at this moment, do you feel like you're more in your head or in your heart? And how do you know? And if you know, and if you intuitively know what it is to listen with your heart, to see with your heart, I invite you to begin allowing yourself to do that, to feel a little more embodied. And so allowing these words, these images, this discussion to just ripple through, not needing to hold on to any of it, and trusting that at the end of it, you might learn what is a deeper way of knowing. So do many of you have this kind of feeling that your head and your heart are in a tug of war? Feel free to unmute and talk to me. Yeah. Or am
Yeah,
I
I
like,
feel that way.
yeah, you feel that way?
Yeah,
Who
I
am
feel
I
that way,
talking to?
Olivia.
Oh, Olivia. Yeah, right. So it seems like the head and the heart are fighting. And how does it feel when they do that? How do you help them to kind of decide who wins?
Um, it's super hard to decide. I think it depends on the situation, like that you're kind of handling.
Right. And do you ever draw from your body in terms of knowing? Like your body might sometimes tell you, actually, this is the way to go. And then do you know that that's when the body is talking versus the heart? So not only do they fight, but do you know which one is talking?
Yeah, I can. I feel like usually I can tell which one is talking.
Oh, cool. That's actually very amazing. Yeah. So that in itself is already a skill. That is actually such a wonderful skill to be able to know when, well, this is my brain talking and this is my heart talking. It just gives us so much more information. And even though, yes, we might feel stuck and we might feel like, they're going to be in this eternal conflict, here's a little more on how to tease that out more for yourself. And thanks so much for jumping in, Olivia. Yeah.
Thanks.
I think already I got over the PowerPoint situation because now I don't feel like I'm the only one talking. I think that was the issue. Okay, and then I'm just gonna have to minimize again, sorry. Yeah, so right now I am working as a therapist in practicum at Avery Therapy, and a lot of my clients are from the LGBTQ community, And I am also learning a lot about how when we are from minority populations, that there is a lot of extra struggle. There is the struggle that in the end boils down to the feeling of being included or excluded. So belonging or not belonging, and also wanting to own who you are, and at the same time struggling with the obstacles that limit us, whether from society, from political reasons, from even just values that, have been promoted by kind of power in society. So basically, I think whether or not we are from these populations, and I do identify as queer, I just wanted to say that, is that we tend to all, as human beings, have these struggles and of this need to want to be safe somewhere, to belong somewhere, and to feel pride in ourselves just as we are, and yet having the impacts in our lives of oppression and trauma. So when you are living in the world and as you go about it, and I feel like many of us here are female presenting, basically you might have been subject to patriarchy, you might have noticed the effects of colonization, and for minority populations, a lot of the time, instead of fighting for your rights, instead of expressing how you feel, for many of us, it feels like we have to minimize ourselves to be safe. And so I know of many, and including myself at times too, who self censored or who, allowed some oppression to happen because we're afraid that if we fought against it, if we said what we said, that we'll be in even more danger. So this results in trauma, and whether it's a larger issue in society, such as with politics and gender, or with oppression, class, and racism and stuff like that. Also, when we boil it down to our home, our immediate surroundings, many of us too grew up with less than perfect families. And so understanding that when as a child that we have had to keep safe by self-minimizing, self-minimalizing, and by self-censoring, that it also creates these internalized states of shame and guilt, and they are what we call the trauma responses. So I wonder if you recognize any of these responses in yourself, because sometimes when we are feeling impacted this way, we might feel irritable, we might lash out at people around us, we might kind of run away from the situation, we might feel really anxious, and anxiety is actually a signal for avoidance. So we might be really afraid of the situation. And then some of us, it manifests as perfectionism, where, whatever we do, we try so hard to be perfect just because we're afraid that we'll be criticized. And then there's also the other response, which is when you believe that you truly have no other way of being safe except to pretend that you don't exist, which is really, really hard. And some of us might have experienced this before. There's some kind of depression or a feeling of not being able to get out of bed, being spaced out, and we might say that we're disinterested, but really we are dissociating so that we don't have to be in our bodies to experience those sensations, those trauma responses. And then there's also a newer one, which is fawning. So fawning is what we see in people who are always people pleasing, people who prioritize other people above themselves. Where setting boundaries is really hard, and saying no again triggers that internalized sense of shame and guilt. So I just want to take a breath here because sometimes when we talk about stuff like this and we might recognize ourselves in it, it might feel like, whew, like, wow, I already feel some activation in my body, or that, oh, this might be triggering. So let's just take a moment and I'm going to sound the bell. And I want you to remember that these are very normal responses. And these are responses that we have to survive and to stay safe. And it came from our ancestors. So pretty much it's an effect of evolution. And so just take a moment, take a really big breath in, remember how smart all our ancestors are so that they survived till today, and that gives us the opportunity to be here today. And we won't be stuck in trauma forever because we're now having the tools to figure it out together. So I'm going to sound the bell. I think another time here, just one time, and allow yourself to really simply tune in to hear the bell and allow that to help you come back to your body. Beautiful. And so just bringing ourselves back. And the research is showing that traumatized people feel unsafe in their bodies. This is a quote from the book, The Body Keeps the Score. It says that the past is alive in the form of annoying interior discomfort. Their bodies are constantly bombarded by visceral warning signs. And in an attempt to control these processes, they become expert at ignoring their gut feelings and in numbing awareness of what is played inside. They learn to hide from themselves. And again, this is not pathologizing. There's nothing wrong with having these responses, but this is what the research shows, that when we're avoiding pain, we sometimes do it by numbing out. So, and right now, a lot of us, we're sharing a very collective experience of a very impactful traumatic situation, which is the pandemic. So there are three big predictors of stress, which is how much can we control the situation? How predictable is it? And how important is it? Does it affect the important people in my life? Does it affect everything else about my life? So I know that we probably all recognize that no wonder, nowadays many of us are feeling a little less regulated. So then if uncertainty is the new normal, how do we stay balanced? And this is just a little moment showing us our common great grandmother. So even though we look different on the outside in our skin a long time ago, and somebody called her Lucy, she is the one who was running around in the world about, just a few feet tall, very tiny, and she was very thin-skinned, and she could easily be eaten by anything around her. So she had to be really good at running, and she had to be really hypervigilant. And so because we have a bit of Lucy in us, so then when we get to our brain, and this part here, we see the triune brain, which is a very simple way of breaking down how our brains work in three sections. So the oldest part of our brain that first developed is the lizard brain, the reptilian brain. And that little lizard that you see there, he's been around for a very, very, very long time because he's the first one to develop. And as organisms back then, all we did was breathe, have maybe a heart rate, digest, and maybe we were able to move. And so that was kind of back in the days when we were kind of more like lizards. And even till today, this part of our brain, which is the brain stem, continues to rule many of these core functioning. And then when the next part of the brain that developed is the mammalian brain, which you see as this ferret-like thing on top of the lizard. And our mammalian brain friend there is our emotional brain. So from merely surviving, we became creatures that develop emotions. And it's great because it lets us know when we're bonding with other people. It helps us to nurture our babies and each other. It helps us to build social bonds, to build community. But also because it's so emotionally connected, there's a tiny, tiny little part in it called the amygdala. And it's so tiny, yet it is our internal alarm system. And what happens is when we have triggers that remind us about a similar event. So let's say if you had an experience, again, maybe I'll use something simpler, like maybe you're afraid of the dark, and once upon a time you heard a sound before a light bulb burnt out in a room that you're in, and that caused fear. So then the next time you hear the sound, it becomes a trigger. And the amygdala immediately, instead of recognizing that maybe it's just a sound, maybe the light bulb is not going to go out, but instead the amygdala starts to increase our adrenaline, our cortisol, and we head right into our fright, flight, and freeze responses, as well as the fawn response. So the last part of our brain, which is the part that is the most newly developed, is the neocortex. And that is our so-called primate brain, so our monkey brain. And now we are very, very advanced monkeys together. And this part of our brain does our cognitive kind of reasoning. It's the part that is able to put language to things, but it's also the artist part of us, the creative part of us, the imagination, the consciousness, the part that develops culture. So knowing that we have these three parts of the brain, and this is just showing that when our eyes perceive something that looks like a lion, then our reptilian brain, the brainstem, starts to react, and then that makes the heart and the kind of the valves and everything else, the sympathetic nervous system, blood pressure and such will start to increase. And then, as we were saying before, that sometimes we don't have other options, so we immobilize ourselves. So when that happens, and we also have another escape system, which is to dissociate. And sometimes you see that in children who tell their parents, I don't care, like I don't care what you say, I don't care about anything. So knowing that we can tend to fragment, and then we might start to feel that parts of ourselves are not trustworthy, and that parts of ourselves we want to orphan or alienate. So that makes us have our responses of feeling confused. So when our nervous system is hijacked and the amygdala alarm system is going off, it affects our ability to differentiate past events from present events. And then also it triggers us into that whole anxiety, avoidance, and repression cycle. So I'm almost at the end of explaining the stuff so that we start getting into our experiential process. But also it's important to know that as human beings, we now have become so much more advanced, and we understand so much more about our nervous systems and our emotions and how to self-regulate. So a big part of our ability to self-regulate is to practice things like yoga, meditation, walking, anything that gives you joy, music. So lots of the creative things that we do with our prefrontal cortex, that monkey part of the brain, that is what we can do to build our resistance, resilience, and as well to widen our window of tolerance. So what you see here is that when you're in hyperarousal, that's when you exceed your window of tolerance. And then when you're in hypoarousal, dysregulation, and that's when you start shutting down, zoning out, then you're also outside of your window of tolerance. And it's important for us when we are trying to process our trauma. It's important for us when we are trying to work with the things that we want to be free from to know about this window of tolerance. Because when we know how to stay in it, when we know how to tell the people that we're around, when we're starting to feel slightly dysregulated, we're more able to bring ourselves back. And so you can also empower yourself by widening your window of tolerance. And one of the ways that really helps us is to realize that, yes, we are pretty much human beings who are now more developed, but still, we are Lucy's descendants. So we don't have to take everything so seriously and judge ourselves and give ourselves, many beatings about the reactions that we're having that are visceral, that are reactive, that are emotional. Just knowing that, hey, you know what? I didn't know about this before, and now I do. I understand more about my nervous system, my triune brain, my trauma responses. And so now it makes sense. And I know that it will take many, many times of hearing and understanding this for it to really make sense. But even now, just sensing, taking a moment again, does this make a little more sense to you right now in your body? And I'm just going to sound the bell again. So just take a moment and just let yourself breathe and let all of this ripple through. And so just inviting you to kind of come back for a moment, and can you share if anybody wants to jump in and share what they might be feeling or thinking about reflecting on this so far? Yeah, and it's totally fine if we're not wanting to speak right now. So we can just continue and talk a little bit about how we can help ourselves and how can we have the tools to move beyond feeling trapped or caught by these responses. So one of the ways of healing, when I say therapy, I do mean the professional kind of therapy where you go to somebody who is trained to help you process, but also it happens in co-regulation. So even right now, as being together with each other, and later getting to move together, to breathe together, and even as listening to this together, knowing that this is a common human experience and that we share common humanity, helps us to already begin to destigmatize some of our judgments about anxiety, for instance, or depression. And it's important to titrate, which just means if you took chemistry back then, when you just drip little drops of a chemical into a solution, so that instead of immediately kind of, running into the monster of the trauma and fighting it with your eyes closed and a sword out, it's kind of better to take it in stages and to be really kind and really gentle with yourself, and to know that this is best done carefully, safely. So the window of tolerance we had just talked about, and you want to also celebrate yourself. So know that at this moment, all of us showing up, being here together is already a precious moment. It is a wonderful moment. Realizing that, today you are here, and if you can just give yourself a bit of self touch, even at this moment, just really recognizing that, look, we all made it this far, and we're here now, open to learning how to help ourselves. And that despite the challenges that we've been up against, we have also had a lot of joy in our lives. We have um, things to celebrate. We have gifts and skills. And if you could just allow yourself a moment right now to just close your eyes and reflect, what is one of your strengths that you really like to celebrate in this moment? And inviting you to just hold yourself however you like. Could be hands on your heart, could be giving yourself a warm embrace, and just really letting yourself feel like recognizing, seeing yourself. And so giving yourself a pat on the back is highly therapeutic. So we should all do it more. And so, as trying to give ourselves resources is through things like being curious, waking up our frontal lobes, and being able to differentiate when we are reacting, and also not shaming our triggers and meeting them instead. So, this one we talked about. And it's also really important to befriend that little voice inside. So, for many of us, when something happens and maybe we're the ones who are suffering, maybe we are the ones who are oppressed, as I was saying, um, and still maybe there's a little voice that you might hear. We want to learn how to have a better relationship with that little voice. So we want to learn how to gently encounter that part of ourselves. We want to learn how to be more casual, like, hey, it's you, anxiety, phobia. It's you, fear, showing up, and not just going, fear, I am fear, and therefore I am broken. So we're not broken. We're working perfectly, exactly as we're designed to do. And so it's more about learning to recognize the situations that we're in and making maybe healthier choices for ourselves. So, yay, we're finally at the part now where we're going to be more experiential and we're going to jump in to our embodied experience of all of this. And I am just going to stop sharing. There we go. Yay, welcome back. Did everybody survive this PowerPoint? You did? I am surviving better than I expected to. Yes, thank you so much for doing this with me. And I just wanted to show you because of my disbelief in PowerPoint, I did prepare a very embodied 3D tool at first, and I was going to just use this. This is my monkey mind model. And inside, I even made the brains. And then I had our little amygdala friend here who's all like, oh my God, hold on. And then our lizard brain. But I thought that, a proper picture of the brain was maybe better. I don't know what's better. You can tell me in a bit. So let's come back for just a couple of minutes. I just want to hear you if you're, again, wanting to share. Um, how are your, what are your thoughts right now? How are your, yeah. So all of that, just what's happening right now? What are you noticing?
I love that presentation. I feel like I learned
Oh,
a lot. And I especially appreciate knowing about Lucy. It makes me feel like we all have a common way of approaching things or a common denominator, I guess. And I also learned about fawning for the first time, which I didn't know about.
hmm.
So that I always need like fight, flight, freeze, yes, but I never heard about fawn before.
Yeah, and actually, for me too, when I learned about fawn, I was a little shocked. And then the people pleaser in myself was like, oh, so that's what that's all about. And it
Mhm.
really helped. I think the moment, you start being able to recognize that, oh, that's what I was doing, then you have a choice. Then it becomes like, I don't have to do that actually, or I still feel like I have to do that, but I'm going to give myself the experience of trying to not do that. And then, everything becomes an experiment. And that's what I've discovered with working through these blocks is that this is just one big experiment. This is almost like a game where we play. And, it has been hard because as children or as people growing into adulting, we had so many beliefs put upon us about what it is to be a friend, a partner, a parent, a worker, all of that success or lack of success. But, we all nowadays have had the awakening of knowing that, wait a minute, this is not fulfilling. And there was a pandemic and I'm in my home, in my living room. So what's going on? So this is such an opportunity right now. So we're going to get onto our yoga mats. And if you need a drink of water, if you need anything at all, feel free to grab that. Also part of your regulation. And I am also going to have a little sip. And I'm going to invite you to come over to the mat and lay down with support. So that might mean that you're grabbing some pillows. That might mean that you're allowing yourself to have a blanket. And what is really nice is to maybe have the knees elevated and to have the head supported. And I'm just going to lay down here with you too. And we're just going to wriggle around a little bit and just really letting ourselves spread out and feel like we're able to let the body just melt towards the earth. And then if it's comfortable to have your eyes closed, you can let your eyes be closed. And just know that everything that I'm suggesting today is not mandatory. You have complete choice. This is about empowerment. So anything that you want to do or don't want to do is your choice. And then again, just letting yourself simply take a few breaths here. And I'm going to sound the bell. Just allowing all that we just learned together to ripple through. And just noticing if there's any activation in your body right now, if there's any physical sensation or response, any emotion in your body right now from hearing what was just shared. And again, we're just meeting it with curiosity. We don't need to judge any of it. Remember, you're functioning exactly as you're meant to, all of us. And then as you lay here, allowing yourself to make a deliberate choice to meet yourself with kindness for the rest of the session. So just trying that as an experiment. If you were your own really good friend, maybe even your best friend right now, how would you then be moving in your body? How would you be treating the thoughts that come up? How would you be meeting the sensations that come up in your body? And even noticing if that decision that I'm suggesting or that choice that I'm suggesting feels natural for you or feels like something that the body wants to resist, or is it the mind? Just checking in which one of these might it be. Great. And then still lying down, I'm going to invite you to practice a little bit of compassionate self-touch. So still just relaxed here and really, maximizing the effects of being relaxed as you're supported. Allow yourself to just maybe rub your hands together, make them a little bit warmer. And then notice if there's any tension in your face right now, in the jaw, kind of around the eyes. And then just inviting you to begin some gentle self-massage. And you're always going to be doing it right as long as you're following your own needs and intuition. So there's no right or wrong here. And then as you do that self-massage, letting yourself simply breathe and notice again just sensations, maybe moving to places in the body that seem to be calling for this connection. Maybe even resting the hands on the face, just simply feeling that sense of reducing one source of stimulation. And just recognizing that right now you're completely safe and that you're supported. Again, notice how that feels to allow yourself to choose to be in a safe place right now. And then continuing to massage your head and maybe moving down to the shoulders and to your arms and down to your belly and your hips, maybe starting to sit up to continue this exploration. Just letting yourself meet your body, kind of noticing when you're touching the left side versus when you're touching the right side. Notice the way you touch your body right now today. And maybe you're noticing a quality in that connection. Maybe it feels like you move very quickly. Maybe it feels like you move slowly, mindfully. Maybe it feels like you touch but you don't feel. Maybe it feels like you feel, but that the feeling is a lot. And then again, check in with your own window of tolerance, noticing, do I feel present? Do I feel kind of taken out of my zone of ease and calm and curiosity? And then feel free to do whatever you need to do right now to soothe yourself if that is happening. And one of the great ways to soothe yourself is to even place your hands on your belly and just gently rubbing the belly. And then letting yourself know, I'm here. I'm here with all parts of myself. And if there are parts of you that feel like they're a bit separate from you, let them know that I'm here. I'm here for you and with you. And so a few more moments, really just letting yourself explore the self-massage. I'm noticing that my neck is letting me know that, wow, I'm so glad you're finally connecting with me. So glad that instead of looking at a computer all the time, that now you are giving me comfort. So just notice those messages from your body. Notice the tone of those messages. And then see if you can send those places a little, friendly kind of, oh, yeah, hey, like, sorry, but don't worry, I'm here now, and I do want to hang out and understand. Great. Beautiful. And then from there, we're going to come on to the hands and knees, and we're going to do just a little bit of cat and cow, just to get our breath moving and get the body kind of moving in all the major places and joints. So breathing in, you're just going to roll the heart up, and breathing out, we're going to round the spine. and with your own breath. So it's your own timing, letting yourself just play. Again, we're simply playing here, just curious. And then even allowing yourself to get a little more into the shoulders and the hips, kind of rock and roll, cat and cow, even coming up onto your fingertips a bit more, kind of opening and closing the mouth, the jaw. And I'm going to invite you, especially Zoom is pretty good for this one. You can make whatever noises you want right now. So allowing yourself to maybe go a little more guttural, maybe like with your body. If there's any frustration or tension today, really letting it move out through that sound. So you're free to make whatever sound you like. Whatever it might be. Just doing that one more time, giving it as much as you like. Great. And then we're going to come onto our feet. We're going to let ourselves just bow forward. We're going to drape the arms. And we're going to let ourselves bend the knees as much as we like. And we're just going to hang forward. Again, feel free to do anything else that appeals to you right now. So we're just going to take a few breaths here and just notice what happened, what you're noticing now after that sound making kind of wild rock and roll cat and cow. Few more breaths like this, just noticing. Great. And then we're going to come back and just have a seat for a moment, any comfortable seat. And you're just simply going to kind of check out how it feels in your body right now. Great. And again, just simply noticing, acknowledging, and not needing to make any kind of judgments about any of it. Then we're going to draw one arm across the chest and just drawing the arm across the chest, letting yourself twist a little bit, looking over the other shoulder. We're just going to take a few breaths there. Notice what your shoulder might have to say today. Relaxing the shoulder. And again, check out how far you're taking any of this. Notice if it affects the breath. If it's making your breath shorter, then again, starting to dysregulate. So we're going to stay somewhere where we can just breathe and be, and it's easeful. Great, and then gently release. And you're going to close your eyes again if it's comfortable. And you're going to place a hand on that shoulder that you just stretched. And you're going to see if you can sense anything, any sensation, any pulsation, or any even color or emotion. Anything that shoulder at this moment seemed to be communicating. Just curious. And if you don't hear anything, that's also perfectly fine. So just notice. Great. And then just letting the eyes open. We'll just take it to the other side. So just grab one wrist with the other arm, and we're going to, again, twist. And just turning, relaxing the shoulders. And again, let yourself feel like you're listening with your body. So instead of maybe the mind saying, oh, that's so stiff, or the mind saying anything that is a calibration, try to listen with your body Imagine that your heart can see what's happening and that your heart can hear what's happening. What is your heart hearing in your body right now? Few more breaths like that. Great. And then gently, we're just releasing. And again, take a moment, just rest the hands on your lap and just check in with your awareness. Left shoulder, right shoulder. What do you notice? What's the difference? Which shoulder seems to have more to say? And whatever they're saying, if they're saying something that requires a response, let the shoulder know that you're really happy to be there for your shoulders and that you're here to be supportive, to listen, and to understand. So just noticing. Great. And now we'll play with getting into another part of the body. So we're going to be lying down. I'm going to go sideways this time so that you can see. We're going to try to get into fish pose. So basically, you're seated and you're going to take your hands under kind of the upper hips. So as you lay down, you're going to try to slide your hands under your hips. And then your elbows are on the ground. You're going to roll your shoulders back. And then we're just going to tuck the chin and look forward. Or if it feels okay for you, you can bring the heart even higher. If it feels okay, you're going to take your head back and let the head relax back. For some of us, doing this shape with the head back might feel more supported if you had a block or a bolster or a pillow or anything like that. So again, feel free to, again, make choices that meet you in a supportive way. So we're going to hang out here a little bit. So we're going to deliberately titrate this feeling. So just staying in it for a little bit more if that's okay for you. And again, you have the choice to come out if you want to. But if you can stay with it right now, inviting you to simply notice your experience, the sensations, the breath, maybe thoughts or feelings, or even energy in this part of the body. And just taking a few more breaths here if you're still staying there, just with curiosity and friendliness, noticing. And again, it's just us meeting our bodies right now. Simply meeting, not needing to fix or judge. Beautiful. And then inviting you to come back to laying down. So after your fish pose, to simply lay down on your back and now to notice sensations. Maybe placing your hands gently near the neck or on the neck or throat, whatever feels fine and comfortable enough. And then let yourself again ask and listen, what is the throat saying? And as you hear or feel what the throat is saying, notice if there are also thinking layers around it maybe more analyzing layers or layers of habit, layers of judgment that might have emerged. And then now imagine that your hands are able to be warm with love. Imagine the hands are glowing with love that you're channeling from within yourself and from around you. So all of us here in this shared experience together, allowing our shared experience to support each other, knowing that even if you feel like you can't generate this love, we're generating it for you. Really let it meet your throat right now with love. And what do you notice? And especially if you have had experiences of not being allowed to use your voice, now let's decide to make some noise. So again, any kind of noise you like. Tibetans like to use the ah sound. In India, we like to use the om sound. So any sound that works for you, just vibrating out a lot of sound now and letting yourself even just feel that you own the space that you're in. You have every right to take up space and to express sound. So just however you wish, whenever you like, and I'll join you there. And doing it a few more times so that it feels complete. So I won't make more sound just so that you can focus on yours. Great. And then we're going to let ourselves get up and we're going to shake that out a little bit. So you're going to come on up and then we're just going to let ourselves really shake everything out and just however you want to. And yes, please be silly if you can, if you have the liberty, the kind of self liberty to be as silly as you like. Shaking all of this out, even blowing out through your lips. Nice. Nice. Great. And then in your own time, just find your way back to any way of standing that feels comfortable for you. And then let yourself rock gently to its stillness. And again, if it feels safe to have the eyes soft or closed, feel free to do that. If it feels safer to pick a spot to look softly on, a little further away, orienting to your room, also feel free to do that. And then as you slowly rock, let yourself feel your feet start to shift weight more to your toes and then more to your heels. And a few times, you're just going to let yourself rock forward and back, and then even a little side to side. Imagine if you were making a foot impression on the earth, and you're really kind of impressing the soles of the feet on the earth, really letting yourself kind of root and meet and grow, releasing, even bending the knees a little, letting the weight of the bones release towards the earth. Jazz dancers tend to do that, letting yourself get that kind of Like, groovy feeling. Nice. Great. And then we're going to deliberately just relax the heart back, let the crown of the head lighten to the sky. Relax the tailbone, relax the chin a little bit, and then find in your own body a sense of being grounded. So a sense of feeling that you're able to feel stable and strong and supported. Great. And then from this place of grounding, we're going to take one step forward and the other leg back, and you're going to come into a warrior lunge. So you're just bending the front knee, the back leg is however you like, maybe just feeling strong through your base. And so if that feels like too much, don't bend the knee too much, just do enough to feel even more grounded, even more strong. Great. And then we're going to actually clench the fists, draw the elbows back, roll the heart back. Great. And then we're going to sweep the arms up and just bring our hands together. And you're going to let yourself feel really strong, relax into this shape. And now imagine what it's like if you let yourself really own the space. So you're going to start to explore with your arms the space that is all around you. And imagine, and it is true, that you deserve to be in the space as much as anybody else, and that it's okay to take up room. So from here, we're going to do something a little more risky, which is bringing ourselves up onto one leg, so almost like a warrior three. You're going to kick one leg back and you're going to try to balance. And then again, we're going to invite that sense of just curiosity and play. So when we are in a situation that might bring us more into a hyper-aroused state, where we start to kind of have thoughts about whether or not we're doing it right, or I can't fall, I have to be perfect, or something like that. So just notice if any of that is happening, and then know that it's completely okay to fall out of it, and then find your way back. It's okay to wobble. In fact, now I'm going to invite you to have a little more fun here. So you are free to explore however you like on this one leg, ways to have more fun here. So I'm imagining that I am in a space helmet and that I am actually exploring space and seeing all the stars and zooming around the universe. And I'm letting my kind of imagination, my prefrontal cortex, really come online. Great. And that was quite a lot of balancing. So if that felt like it's enough, we're going to come on back and let's find a downward dog together, just to stretch it out a little bit to even out both sides. So just stepping back if downward dog feels fine for you. I'm just going to draw the hips back, bend the knees, press the heart to the legs. Now bounce a few times and just breathe there. Whew. Nice. And then you're simply going to bring the right leg forward, and we're just going to take a little lunge. Yeah. Just integrating that for a moment. Great. You're even going to twist left hand onto the mat, right hand to the sky, relaxing your shoulders, opening the heart. Take a few more breaths there. And again, we're not performing asana. We're just exploring, feeling, moving, breathing. Awesome. Then we're going to bring ourselves back, and now we're going to make ourselves very small. We're going to come into child's pose. For some of us, it's nice if you have a blanket or a pillow under the forehead. Today, we're going to do the child's pose with the knees together and the arms behind us. And it is going to feel like we're becoming a little bar of soap. So in your own time, just finding your way into this. And we'll just take a few breaths here. Notice if your breath wants to be held or if your breath wants to move. And notice if you're holding your breath back or if you're flowing and allowing whatever wants to move to move. Great. And then from here, we're going to slowly bring ourselves back. And this time, just still staying low, you're going to step your left leg forward and your right leg back, and you're going to lunge low on this side. And then again, we're just simply listening to the body again. So just taking a breath. Come back into your body. And just allowing some space and some quiet to listen to your body and what it's saying in this shape. Notice if your body is saying that you are beyond the edge, if you have pushed too far, or if your body is saying it's kind of passive and it wants a little more. Notice what your body is saying versus what your mind is saying, what your brain, your cognitive brain might be saying. Notice if you notice even a difference. Great, and then from there, we're just going to do a little twist, right hand on the ground, left hand to the sky. Just really saying hi to the whole spine, really. You can feel that relaxing your shoulders there, just breathing. Great, and then we're going to do our exploration of our flying pose, our warrior 3 pose with the left leg. And the reason why we haven't jumped into it yet is because now you're going to create a different experience of it. So earlier when you did it, you were being playful and curious and letting yourself fall in and out of it. This time you still do that, but you're going to let yourself savor being in it. So you're going to savor getting into it. You're going to savor being in it. You might stay for a shorter time, but you're going to listen to your body and see how long your body actually wants to stay there. So in your own time, when you're ready, you're just going to slowly let yourself float the right leg up. So to savor it, I'm just going to go really slow. I'm going to move like I am melted fluid metal. I'm going to bring the right leg up. And then I'm going to notice what's going on, and you're going to notice what's going on. Maybe for this one, it feels better to have the hands on the ground. Maybe your body wants that. Maybe it feels nice to let the head hang. Maybe the body wants that. Do you want to look up, or do you want to let the head hang? And then noticing if you're making this a challenge about success or failure, or if you're just savoring the experience. Ooh. Nice. And you're free to try it again. Just notice. Notice which part of your brain is engaged in this shape right now. Kind of the more basic function reptilian one, or the mammalian one, the emotional brain, or your prefrontal cortex, your conscious thinking, rationalizing brain. Ooh, and I just heard my body say that it's time to get out of there. So coming back. Nice. And then this time you're going to come onto your back and we're going to draw the knees towards the chest. So in your own time, and again, I just use this direction, you're just going to draw your knees in and let yourself rock side to side. Just breathing. And then in your own time, you're going to let the knees drop side to side. Just rocking gently side to side, again, savoring the experience. And if you were kind of doing it rather quickly, let's see if you can slow it down a little bit and just savor how you're almost engineering your movement, how you're gathering the knees in, how the belly is meeting this position, how it feels in the side hips and in the spine as you gently let yourself turn side to side. And then doing it with a little bit more kindness. So see if you can bring a little more kindness into this, a little more friendliness and curiosity into this. Great. Beautiful. And then you're just going to bring it back to center. We're going to try one last one. And for this one, it's going to be you inventing the shape. So you are free to take a moment and even hold yourself for a moment and kind of sense into your body. What does my body want right now? Does my body want to take a position that's very big? Or does it want to take a position that's very small? Does it want to move? Does it want stillness? Asking your body, what do I want? Sometimes if it's hard to hear, you can take your hands on your heart and then just listen again. And feel free to take the shape of your choice. We'll just transition into that in a few moments. You can almost sometimes explore to see what that might be. Notice what it's like when you're actually listening to what you want. And whatever that position is, we're going to stay, if you can, with it for just a little while more, just breathing. Anytime you feel like transitioning, you can also feel free to do that. Great. So from here, we're going to bring ourselves back to lying down, and I'm going to do a little guided meditation with you on your back resting. So again, just taking whatever props are nice for you. Sometimes it's even nice to have a blanket over your whole body. Sometimes it's nice to have something under your mid-back or your spine or under your knees or your hips. So I'm going to go for the classic, just some things under the knees. Just listening to my body. And then really get into it, savoring the movement. Savoring helps us to connect again to our state of calm and ease. So towards that window of tolerance and opportunity for healing, moving as if your body is your most treasured friend. And then letting yourself come back to resting. And just letting the eyes again close if that's comfortable for you, or let the gaze be soft. And simply rest here and allow this guided meditation to ripple through, just calling back each part of the body, calling back each part of you back to yourself. I'm going to sound the bell once before I begin. So just allowing the body to breathe naturally, feeling the in-breath flowing into the body, feeling the out-breath flowing out of the body. Breathing in, know that you're breathing in, and breathing out, know that you're breathing out. And you're here in the present moment. This is a wonderful moment. Really drinking in this moment of meeting yourself just as you are. And just meeting yourself as the precious person that you are. Allow yourself to gently scan with your awareness through your body, breathing in and out of the feet, and letting the feet feel any sort of release that they might want to do, any degree. And breathing in and out of the legs, and letting the legs too feel like they're free to do what they want to do. And breathing in and out of the heart, and also letting the heart know that she is free to do what she needs to do. And breathing in and out of the neck and the shoulders, and letting the neck and the shoulders know that they are free from responsibility or external pressures. And breathing in and out of the face, letting the face know that she's beautiful just as she is, and that there's nothing more to have to do. And so simply breathing, simply being. I'm going to call out some parts of ourselves, and we're going to welcome them back. We're going to let them know that we're here for them, and that we want to meet them, to listen and to understand, and that this is just the beginning. So calling back the parts of you that are in your throat, your voice, wanting to speak, to express, to voice. And calling back through your hands, your creativity, your resilience, your ability, and calling back to your legs, your freedom to be where you are, to move as you like, to take yourself to places, calling back your feet, inviting you to root and to feel Mother Earth supporting you, and calling back your heart to love, to feel, to be loved, and calling back the lungs to sing, to breathe, to breathe. And so just simply breathing, simply being, breathing in and out of the whole body, the whole body. I'm going to sound the bell 3 times to seal our practice. No mud, no lotus. Allowing ourselves now just to gently have gratitude for challenges and knowing that we are growing from them, blooming, embracing our beautiful selves. And then in your own time, transitioning to your side and back to any comfortable seat. And we will meet in our seats with the eyes softly closed and the hands resting on the heart. And if you could bring your camera back on if you are wanting to be on camera. And I'm just going to chant Om, and please do join me if you like, and we'll just imagine across such wide distances physically that our hearts are joined and here co-regulating with each other. Just taking a breath in. Thank you for letting me join you on this process. Namaste. So, my friends, you might want to hang out and chat a little more, or you might have any questions, and I'm here for that. It is 8 o'clock. If some of you have to run, totally understand. I'm always available. You can email me, connect with me. Thank you so much to the people who have donated and all of that. Thank you so much for supporting me and sharing this stuff that I'm really learning also in my own life. So I hope we can all apply it together. Oh, welcome, Anne-Marie. Yeah. Great having you. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Zoe.
Welcome.
Good night.
Good night. Bye.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you,
Bye.
Johnny.
Bye.
Happy dinner.
Anybody staying?
Bye.
Thank you,
Bye.
Zoe.
Welcome. Are you gonna run or stay? Oh, everybody's
My
gone.
children are stalking me, so I better
Your
go.
children? Oh,
Yeah.
my goodness. Yeah, we gotta hang out sometime.
Yes.
Are you in Surrey? Where are you?
I am in Surrey. Yeah.
Okay, I'm in Burnaby. I don't know what your life is like. Mine is chaos, but hi. Oh, she's so cute. Oh my goodness. How old is she?
She's 5.
She's 5. Wow. And your son is how old?
He's 8.
Wow, that's so amazing.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I guess she is actively seeking your attention.
Yes.
Yes.
Say hi to Zoe.
Cool.
Yeah.
Hi. Oh. Yeah. Well, feel free to run if you need to, like,
Okay.
you know, dinner and do that kind of stuff. We can all like meet some other time and chat.
Okay. Thanks, Zoe.
You're welcome. Thank you so much. Bye. Thank you so much. It's so nice to have you, really. Yeah. And I want to hear how it went for you. Tell me sometime.
Okay, I will.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Hugs. Bye.